Brighton nil, Aston Villa 2. Aston Villa finally pick up 3 points away from home, doing the double over Brighton for the first time in 40 years, and finally getting away from a losing drought. And overall today, a much better performance from Aston Villa. I think coming into this game, there was a little bit of fears. Obviously, Brighton, they're a team that are a bit inconsistent, but overall, a team that are quite difficult to play against on their day. And considering the way we'd been in the past two games, including the draw at Leeds, it was a bit worrying coming into today. I wasn't really that confident, but I was ultimately expecting a draw, if anything, similar to what we saw 2 years ago. But ultimately, I think what really was key today was, as Steven Gerrard said, back to basics. And ultimately, when we play our football, when we focus on what we're doing, we ultimately managed to get 3 points and grind out a comfortable victory. Because I think that's what it was today. Although they had a lot of the possession, Brighton, I think overall 0 shots on target, possibly 4. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. 1 shot on target though for Brighton today, so not really much to worry about. Villa ultimately capitalising on the chances that came to him. So let's go through it then. Obviously, the team who's came out, Ings and Watkins were starting again. We know that partnership hasn't really worked this season, but they were up there. No Buendia today. Konza back into the team. It was going to be interesting to see how it was going to be. I think Gerald looked at it from last week and said, although he didn't finish his chances, Ings looked a lot better last week against Watford, and he was getting to the right areas. And obviously, Watkins is a player that needs that confidence, and this is any type of game you can get it, because when he flicks it on, he can get that goal and it completely changes a player like him. But it was going to be very interesting to see there. Obviously, Louise, McGinn, and Ramsey still in that midfield. It would have been interesting to see what his game kickoff was delayed by half an hour because of traffic, but ultimately that didn't stop the players. First 10 minutes, I thought Villa looked a little bit apprehensive, a little bit just trying to find their foot in the game, make sure they didn't make any wrong steps straight away, because a bit of the passing wasn't there at times. But then after about 20 minutes, a little bit of play from our left hand side. A ball's whipped in and cashes in on the edge of the box to finish into the bottom right post. And it ultimately goes in for 1-0. Aston Villa get themselves off to a great start. And ultimately, I think after that point, the game really went more into Villa's favour when we look over it back across the last 70. I think Brian ultimately, sorry, that goal rocked their confidence. They weren't really feeling like that same threat anymore. As I said, although they had a large portion of the possession, really weren't cutting through us, weren't really penetrating our defensive line and imposing anything that you would say, well, I thought Digne, although at times today was a bit more standard, what he was going to expect, a bit more comfortable. He did have a bit of trouble with Lamptey, but ultimately kept him very quiet throughout the game. Cucurella didn't really have much impact at all. Bissouma didn't really, to be honest, I didn't even remember him in the game at all. He did absolutely bugger all. It was really the likes of McAllister and Maupay today trying to get some for Brighton, but ultimately didn't. And Villa ultimately comfortably just sat through that first half, really just trying to make sure that we're on the front foot, we're staying that dominant team and push through into that first half, 45 minutes. And it was fine from then. Second half, it was the same again. Villa just trying to make sure that we see the game out. A bit sloppy passes from the likes of Douglas Luiz and McGinn. Coutinho had a free kick attempt. That was a good save from Roberto Sanchez. Cash had another attempt as well. It was a lot of really good chances for Villa, and still the same for Brighton, not really cutting through us and posing any much more of a threat. And then we get to about 70, 75 minutes. A really long ball played in from Mings. The balls that we've seen before, especially the first game in the Premier League at Spurs away when Mings played in McGinn to score. Mings with another long boot. Watkins reads it perfectly. He's able to get the better of the defenders, and he's in and he gets his goal. No offside on this time. Watkins tapping the badge. He knows what it means. Watkins finally gets a goal. And as I said, a confidence player, someone that may not be on his day, but that's why you keep him on the pitch, because the flick of the switch is going to get the goal, and he perfectly puts that into the back of the net. So 2-0 and essentially kills off the game. Swansea, what about? Brighton didn't do much after that. Nothing really else imposing. Substitutes as well. I think this is what I really liked today. Gerrard got himself back into the good books for me. on this performance alone. Great substitution. Sanson coming on for Douglas Luiz, who had a really poor game today. Probably the worst one on the pitch for me. But it's nice to see him come on, considering there was no Chukwuemeka today. There was the likes of O'Reilly, Imobwegum, can't say his name. O'Reilly as well, nice to see him, but Sanson finally getting what he deserves and a chance at playing in the game. Had about 18 minutes there. Ashley Young coming on as well for Danny Ings. That's fine. You could have brought him on to help shore us up defensively if we needed to, while still having that option out wide. But ultimately, brought on for Danny Ings to keep him out there. And then finally, he did bring on in Wembley for, I believe it was Coutinho. Coutinho lasted until the 86th minute. He got a few minutes there, but what we did see was some comfortable and tidy. All three substitutes didn't really have much of an impact, considering at that point in the game, we kind of sat off massively. And weren't really going for the third goal. I would have liked to have seen a third goal, considering I think Brighton, since that first goal, their confidence has been completely shook. But I would have liked to seen Villa push on, perhaps get that third, because I think we could have done it again for someone like a Watkins or maybe a Jacob Ramsey, even someone like that. But I thought our three, Morgan Sanson did a little bit, driving that ball forward, managing to wriggle past a few players. You can see why people love him, why people want to play, because there is quality there. We just need to see it. See him given more time and actually begin to concentrate. You're going to get a chance to play. And ultimately, Villa did see it out today. Villa saw out 2 goals. And although they don't move up massively into the table, if we still want at least a top half finish, we're only 3 points now behind Brighton, with a game to Southampton at home. And considering after today's performance, at least we can go back from Brighton with a bit of confidence. Man of the match then, I'm going to go with Mings. I thought he was really solid today. I thought Konsa was a little bit slip and slidey for his first game back in, but I think that's kind of understandable because in the games he's missed. I thought Cash, apart from, I think he actually did quite well, got a goal. The same with Watkins, both did really well. But I think Cash today really silencing the likes of March and Cucurella from having any chances in the game. Digne, I would have said, would have been fine, but as I said, he was a bit standard and a bit times Lamptey was going through him. McGinn was better, but not as great as well. Ramsey was very quiet today. Coutinho very quiet, sadly. And Ings, although he does run about a bit and did try and help a bit going forward, ultimately didn't do much today. Martinez hadn't really had much to do as well, but made the crucial saves when he needed to. And ultimately, it's a win that gives me with a lot of confidence. It makes me feel happy. And you can ultimately say for another week, we can be confident going into Southampton and can be happy. But also the referee, what are you doing, you pillock? 9 yellow cards as well. I think there was like 6 given in the first half. I know he's a new referee, but bloody hell, man. Some of the challenges going in, not given. Some of the yellow cards he was getting. Cash's one was admitted a yellow card. But what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? But ultimately, I'm happy today. It's 3 points away from home. It's another clean sheet, so that's something for Martinez. Gerrard can look at the board and say, you know what? We've done what we did today. We've gone back to basics. We've got those 2 goals, got 3 points. It's a week where you can go and be happy now, and we can go back again for Southampton on the 3rd of March. 3rd of March? 5th of March, sorry, because it's on a Saturday. But yes, that has ultimately been it today. Brighton 2. God, it's so annoying fixtures. Brighton 0, Aston Villa 2. Let me know in the comments down below who you thought your man of the match, was, and what you really liked about today's performance. So if you think what we're going to happen going to Southampton, would you like to see Sanson play for the likes of Luiz, push them all a bit more forward? Would you like to see someone like Timo or Chukwuemeka come back in and get some minutes? Who knows? Tell me in the comments down below. But it's a big 3 points for Aston Villa, and it's a weekend that gets us off on the right path. So get in, Villa. We'll see you for Southampton next week, boys.